She's been called one of the funniest people in New York by Time Out. I think she probably goes beyond New York in that designation. You've seen her on Lady Dynamite. You've seen her on tons of other shows. You're going to see her soon on her own show on HBO. She has been everywhere, all over the place, but you don't want to hear from me. You want to hear from her. Please welcome the one and only Bridget Everett, you guys. It's Bridget Everett. Hi.
Hi.
What were you like as a teenager?
You know, I'm the youngest of 6 kids, so and we had like a really, really no holds barred family. You know, like you would sit around like the dining room table like around the holidays, and people would just sort of, my siblings would make fun of each other until somebody cried, and that was usually me. So I would say like I was probably kind of like, you know, had a chip on my shoulder until I got to high school and everybody else was gone, and then I started to flourish because, you know, there was nobody making fun of me all the time. So, you know, I did sports and choir and show choir and you know, I know it's not cool to say, but I enjoyed high school.
First of all, it's crazy you were the youngest of 6 children, and especially like knowing the type of stuff you make, I was wondering like what got your ideas going initially, like why you chose to be in doing music and comedy together. Or,
well,
yeah.
I think you have to do what you're good at, right? And I'm not good at really too much, except for, you know, singing and probably drinking and loving a dog. But basically what happened was, you know, when I was younger, my mom was like, she would walk around, like go to the grocery store with like her nightgown on and no bra, right? And so, you know, she just had like a very cool relationship to her body. Like she just didn't care. And she also just didn't care what other people thought. And in some ways she did. In some ways she was really, you know, like self-worth and stuff. But like, just, I love the way that she approached the world. The thing that sort of was most inspirational to me is my mom, like her sense of comfort and and her tits. And, like she had these, you know, these long low hanging boobs, and like we called them beaver tails, and she thought that was really funny. And so, you know, as my own tits, you know, have sort of started to slide down the mountain, I thought, you know, but I still love them. I really do. I think like, you know, no matter where I go up and down on the scale, like I look at them, I'm like, those are good. You know what I mean? And so I started singing a song about all different kinds of tits, and it made me laugh. And I think for a long time I thought that, like, you know, lyrics had to be like super clever, and you know, I think you can't think about it in terms, I can't think about it in terms like that. I just have to write what makes me laugh, and what makes me feel empowered.
When you started writing, what was your like musicianship like? / what is your songwriting process if you were to?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I started, you know, I never considered myself a writer or a comedian or any of those things. I always thought of myself as a singer. And I'm sort of just now thinking of myself as a songwriter, which is, you know, a little mental, but I come up with like a melody, and I come up with some lyrics and like a hook, you know, just like come up with something catchy, right? And then I'll do that. And oftentimes I'll write a song around the hook. But I am lucky enough to work with some great musicians, but, you know, like titties and What I Gotta Do, you know, like they're all like really similar. Like the chord structure is super simple and the lyrics are not complicated. But the hook is good. I write something, and if it makes me smile or if it makes me feel like warm, it's always that moment of like, you know, like, and sometimes you have to take it to somebody else and help you work out like the you know, I do the chords and stuff, but that's how I started. And originally, actually, all we did was like covers. I started out like, originally, like I would sing, like the very first song I sang live in New York, aside from a karaoke bar, was a song called Teenage Dirtbag. And somebody had asked me to sing it and tell a story with it. So I told a story, I sang the song, and then I started to tell more stories, sing more songs, and then put them together until they made a show. And then what I would do is one by one, write a song to kind of replace the moment, you know, like to replace the cover. Like, because sometimes a song that's already written can give you the idea or the direction where you want to go. And it's not like I was like taking their chords and singing a song over it, but like matching like the emotion or the intent, but telling it in my voice and my story and my way. Like over the course of the pandemic, I was listening to like a lot of 70s funk and soul. And trying to like, I got a keyboard and I'm trying to like expand like chord progressions and shit like that. But my heart is really with the silly songs and the easy chords, and it keeps it simple, and audiences love it because it's easy to their ear. It's easy for me to remember, even if I'm drinking on stage,
Just talk about like your experience as an actor, since you said that primarily you consider yourself a singer. So what was that? What has that path been like for you?
A friend of mine saw me at a karaoke bar singing, and he invited me to do a show at Ars Nova in New York. And, I started out, like I said, doing cover songs and then eventually sort of replacing them as we went along. And the director, showrunner of Sex and the City came, and we ended up working together on the show called At Least It's Pink. And he wrote a little thing for me. And he's like, I wrote you this part, but you still have to audition and don't fuck it up. So I auditioned, and I was really so nervous. And it's been hard for me because I don't like to audition. I get really nervous. I psych myself out. That's basically why I started doing, cabaret and comedy and singing, was so I could create my own thing, be in charge. And for many years, it was an audiences in front of like no one, waiting tables, going out after work, going out on the weekends, just anywhere I could get an opportunity. And, cabaret wasn't really cool, like 15 years ago. So you're really kind of doing whatever you can. But yeah, and like I did a movie called Patty Cakes, they'd seen me singing on Amy Schumer's show. HBO became interested in me because they came and saw me singing at Largo in LA. Like it's all come from that. So I think it's really imperative to really try to cultivate your own voice and do things your own way and be as specific to yourself as you can, because that's the way you're going to get the truest trajectory that you deserve. There was times early on when I was like, if I was working with somebody that I didn't feel like empowered me, or like we're not there on Team Bridget, not like everybody's got their own shit, but like if they're not sort of wanting you to win and wanting the best for you, like it took me a long time to sort of trim some of those people out of my life. And once I did, it was like everything changed. So that was probably, those are two of the biggest lessons for me, is to like trim the fat and really keep honing in on your voice. Just for my own sake and the way that I like to do things, in order for me to go as wild and as wide as I go, I have to feel protected. And that means different things for different people. But for me, I don't want to do a show somewhere where it's like a different venue, different thing, whatever. I want to feel in charge. I want to come back. I want to fucking reclaim it. And then I want to go back out into the world. And I've had to wait a little bit longer, but it's worth it.